increase excess consumption, if you like. We know that this stuff is addictive. We know it's now as harmful as cigarettes in terms of the global effect.
So, how do we get back to eating real food? That's coming up Monday on Point.
This forecast is underwritten by Blue Cross and Blue Shield of Mississippi. Smarter, better healthcare. More at bcbsms.com.
Moving right along with some dry weather and hot weather, too, over the next several days. Right now, we have really no major chances for precipitation for most of the state for at least the next 5 to 6 days. In Tupelo through the night, pretty clear, low at 65. As you're heading out and about this weekend, we have plenty of sunshine coming in with highs low 90s and keeping it dry Monday and Tuesday. Clear in Vicksburg for the wee hours of the morning, a low 65. Sunny for Saturday and Sunday plans with weekend highs low 90s. We're down to 65 for the overnight low in Pascagoula. Wall-to-wall sunshine through Saturday, Sunday, and Monday. Highs are close to 90 degrees. I'm Jennifer Naramore. This is Think Radio.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Week 6 of Friday Night Under the Lights. Russ is out of town. He was down at the West Jones game between Jackson Prep and West Jones, but we've got one of our famous guest hosts tonight, and that is Danny Davis with us and George Broadstreet. And take it away, George.
All right, Chris, thanks a lot. Thanks for joining us tonight on another night of Friday Night Under the Lights. This is, as Chris said, Week 6 of Season 33, which is kind of hard to believe. And as Chris said, our show, the brains behind the show, I kind of hate to say that, but the brains behind the show, the creative one, Russ Robinson is off tonight. Had a ball game down in West Jones that we'll talk about a little bit later on. But the rest of the usual crew is here. Chris Saxton is our studio engineer. Ty Bailey works our phones. We got Noah Crow, who will be giving us our 8-man report a little bit later on in the evening. Danny Davis is our guest host, and I'm George Broadstreet, and glad to be with you. And Danny, it's a little bit of an unusual Friday night because, there are like 310 schools that we follow in Mississippi that play high school football. And normally there's about 150, 160 games that are played. And tonight there's like 130 games. A lot of open dates.
Yeah, a lot of open dates. Teams taking an open date before they get into district or region play. So, that's going on. And, I was here week 1, and it just seems like yesterday, when Russ was out. And here we are. I believe we call this number 6, right?
This is number 6. Yeah, it's 6 out of like maybe 14 or so that we do. And they go by quick. I mean, when those Friday nights just keep rolling around. But there are a lot of open dates. A lot of the 7A schools took the night off. Not everybody, but a lot of them did. A lot of the lower classifications are playing some divisional games. But we've got scores, and we'll give those to you. I just think it is interesting that there's like 49 schools that had open dates tonight. So
wow.
That's 3 MAIS schools. Yeah, it is a lot. And then MHSAA, there's like 46 schools. Looking at some of the scores that we have, and let me give you some scores. And these are kind of random, and we'll get more, of course, as the night goes on. Got Kosciuszko beating Caledonia 42-28 is the score I have. Callaway edged Forest Hill, kind of an interesting JPS matchup there. Callaway edged Forest Hill 14-13. It was Winona over Charleston 48-26. It was Columbus defeating New Hope 23-0. Hancock, if this is right, Hancock edged Florence 22-20. Florence is a 5A school. Hancock is a 6A school. Florence is having a pretty good year. I mean,
yes,
they're 3-2.
They are. Yes, they are.
And, they've had some times when, I can remember years past where they didn't have a very good, outcome, but they've had a pretty good season.
They've done very well, and that is kind of a long-distance matchup there, Hancock and Florence.
So, it sure is. Calhoun City beat Hamilton by the score of 40-14. Philadelphia over J.Z. George 54-12. The game that we mentioned at the outset here, Russ's game, West Jones at home defeated Jackson Prep tonight by the score of 21-6. And, Jackson Prep, that's their first loss of the season. Of course, Jackson Prep, perennial power in MAIS highest classification. West Jones, though, is a pretty strong 6A school.
They are. They have a lot of tradition down there in Jones County, and that area. You got Wayne County, and you got West Jones, and that's big rivals. And of course, you got Laurel.
Yeah.
And a lot of good football down there in the Jones County area.
Yeah. And I don't know, Chris, you were talking about that earlier, but apparently West Jones was pretty dominant defensively. Prep had a hard time moving the ball. I believe
they were negative 66 yards running.
Wow.
So that's
but in high school, college football, if you have a sack, that goes against your rushing totals. So a little bit different in the pros. But did you say we have a call?
Well, we did.
Okay.
So hopefully you'll call back, and it's gone right at the moment.
Oh, okay. Well, I think I know who that was, but if it's who I think it is, they'll call back. I feel certain. Louisville beat Houston by the score of 50-6. Here's an interesting game: Mendenhall and Forest. Mendenhall beat Forest tonight, 32-22. Forest, that's their first loss, if that's correct. Mendenhall is now 4-2 on the season.
That's an old Little Dixie Conference matchup there from the 1960s and 70s. But Mendenhall's been very good. I think they lost to Macomb.
I believe that's
earlier this season, but they've had a good season. Of course, like you said, Forest was undefeated, so it was a good game.
Yeah, and you think about back in those days, and I remember vividly. My dad get home from work about 5:30. Games back then didn't start to 7:30. We get in the car, and we didn't know where the stadium was, like in Forest or Morton or McGee. But you just drove into that town and you could see the lights.
That's
which
right.
is kind of like, and you just drove to the lights.
The Friday night lights. That's right.
You didn't have to have directions. You just looked for the light.
That's right.
Poplarville defeated Moss Point 47-12 was the final there. Pass Christian over Greene County 28-6. Perry Central over St. Patrick 33-13. Moving through this, let's see. We mentioned the game, your game. Clinton got their first win tonight, beating Terry, a good Terry football team.
Terry football team.
Which Terry's, is 6A, Clinton's 7A. 28-21 was the final. Tell us a little bit about that one, because Clinton has really struggled.
Well, Clinton has really struggled, but the first 5 games, the teams that they lost to are all ranked in the top 20 or 25. Okay.
Yeah.
And they're down to their 4th quarterback, a guy that's not even a quarterback. I mean, their 3 quarterbacks are out. They have like 8 or 9 injuries total, and they played decently last week against South Panola, but the game was knotted up 14-14 at the half, and Clinton's offensive line kind of took control in the 3rd period, and the running back Jacoby Williams, when I left the game to come here early 4th quarter, he had like 165 or 70 yards. Mm-hmm. They were ahead 28-14 when I left. Now Terry did something creative I hadn't seen in a long time. They did a reverse on a punt and ran it about 60 yards down the 3-yard line, punched it in. It was 28-21, and then Clinton just punted deep and stopped them. But a big win for the program. And now Clinton gets a bye week, and hopefully to get their starting quarterback and their second quarterback back, and a lot of these injuries are when they go into Region 2 7A.
Yeah, and that's the thing about it. We've talked. Russ and I have talked about this. All through the season, that it's not until really next week or the week beyond that when the 7A schools really get into district play.
That's right.
So it's really kind of like all these games. You don't want to call them preseason, but it's almost like they don't really count necessarily against you.
That's
because
right.
You can go winless, but then find a way to win a division game somewhere along the way and get in the playoffs.
That's right. And Region 2 7A only has 5 teams.
Right.
And so
because Murrah is playing a what do you call it?
Independent.
That's right. Independent schedule. That's right.
So technically you could probably win one game in that region and be in the playoffs.
And actually, you could win one game and be a pretty good team.
That's right.
For the competition.
That's right. Where you played that competition. Yeah, that's right. So
we got some callers.
Okay.
George, first
All right.
let's go to Philip Palmertree.
Okay. Philip, we've talked to you before in the past, I remember. Who are you calling in for?
Leak Academy playing at Pillow tonight, and the Rebels beat the Mustangs 37-20.
Well, that's a good win. I know Leak had a really strong team last year. How have they done so far this season?
Well, this year has been a rebuilding year, a very small senior class, a lot of sophomores and juniors and guys who have not played much, and you know that story. A lot of having to learn things the hard way, but it's been really encouraging the last 3 weeks. Rebels are 2-5, but have won 2 of the last 3 and have really come together throwing the football. Got a sophomore quarterback named George Wilcox who's thrown for nearly and sometimes a little more than 300 yards each of the last 2 weeks. Hasn't thrown an interception the last couple of weeks, and they're really, I think, starting to become dangerous when they have the football.
Yeah, it is kind of interesting. We sometimes forget that, a kid that's a sophomore or a junior hasn't played a whole lot. I mean, them getting a few games under their belt makes all the difference in the world sometimes.
It does, and, early in the year, and often you still see with some of these young quarterbacks and receivers early in the game, the passes are a little bit too hot, a little bit too high, or somebody is, getting to the spot a little bit quicker because of that adrenaline going. And they looked like that in the first quarter. In fact, it was a 3-point game at halftime, but Leak outscored Pillow 20-0 in the third quarter to run away with it.
All right, who does Leak have next week?
Leak's got a district game next week in Pelahatchie against East Rankin, and hoping to build some momentum with, some tough teams the last couple of weeks, Lamar and Simpson.
Okay. Philip, thanks for the call tonight, and thanks for telling us about your game. We appreciate it.
All right, you're welcome.
So what, George, we got Ty Boyles,
all right,
and then Greg Flynn. So let's talk to Ty for a minute,
okay.
Then we'll go to Greg.
All right, Ty. I was looking at that game. Crystal Springs was playing McGee. What was the outcome of that one?
The final score was McGee 21, Crystal Springs 20.
Oh,
wow, great game.
Yeah.
Yes.
I mean,
yes.
Tell us about that. How did Crystal Springs score late and try for 2, or what happened?
No, what happened is we had them at halftime 14-13. We scored, then they scored, then they tried to go for 2 points, then that's what was the final score, 21-20.
Okay. Well, even the fact that Crystal Springs lost, that was a good game because McGee is usually a tough team.
Yeah, McGee is not that good this year.
Okay. Well, anyway, that's a good outing for the Tigers. Who do they have next week?
We have Jefferson Davis next week.
Oh, that's a tough game.
That will be tough.
At Jeff Davis.
Oh, that's even tougher.
Tough place to play.
Yeah. All right. Well, Ty, thanks for your call. Appreciate the report on that game, and give us your out there.
Go Dogs! Look up horns! Beat Oklahoma! Beat Bama!
Well, the Dogs could use a little bit of that tomorrow.
That's right.
Yeah.
Here's Greg.
All right, here's Greg Flynn. Greg, I don't believe you had a game tonight. Is that correct, Pearl Pirates?
Did you know they played college football on a Friday night? I got to see it tonight. I'm watching 2 games today. I didn't know what to do with myself.
Oh, yeah. Well, yeah, they do play some games.
That's right. Greg, that's the beauty of having an open date. This is Danny Davis. How you doing?
I'm telling you, I for years I don't remember having an off date for a while, and I'm like, oh my gosh, there's 2 college football games on.
Hey, Greg, I was thinking about Pearl today when Clinton's got that 0-5, and I was just thinking about Clinton's going through what the Pearl Pirates went through last year. So that's encouraging to think. I was thinking that what Clinton's going through now, maybe they can be like Pearl next year, right?
Well, you hope so. But it all depends. It all depends on how old they're. Are they playing a bunch of freshmen or sophomores? Because that's the key.
That's right.
Pearl had all those sophomores that were playing last year that are now juniors, and that's how you can gauge a team, really. They also have to be talented, by the way. So if you're playing a bunch of sophomores, then there is hope.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. And they do have a lot of young players. And they had 3 quarterbacks, and they're all out. But they will be back for district play, some of them. So that's been a big deal.
Well, we certainly hope so. I mean, I love to see good competition, and Clinton is one of those storied, respected programs, and I'd love to see them come back.
Yeah, thank you, Greg.
All right, Greg, we got the music, unfortunately, but we'll have to let you go. Who do the Pirates have next week?
All right, region play starts against Northwest Rankin on Thursday night.
Thursday night against Northwest Rankin. They've got a good team this year. That'll be a good matchup.
Oh, it's going to be a slobber knocker, so we'll enjoy talking about it next week.
All right, Greg, thanks a lot.
Thanks, Greg.
All right, we've exhausted our first 15 minutes. We'll take a break, and when we come back, we'll have more Friday Night Under the Lights.
People who come to Cricket stay with Cricket. Like one of our favorite customers, Michelle.
I started my own app company, and with Cricket, I'm able to answer calls from my engineers and investors and know my signal's going to be great. If I had to describe Cricket in 2 words, they would be reliable and affordable.
5G boss mode activate. Smile, you're on Cricket.
Hello, Mississippi. Did you know that the average student graduates college with $30,000 worth of debt? That amount of debt can delay major life milestones, including getting married, buying a home, and starting a family. But don't worry, we've got some good news for you tonight. College Savings Mississippi and Treasurer David McRae can help you reduce or eliminate that debt. Their plans are flexible and affordable. Start saving for as little as $25 today. Visit treasury.ms.gov/college savings to learn more.
I'll be right over. Whoa, how'd you get your house fixed so fast? One call to E.C. Malone. If you don't know Malone, you don't know roofing. But what about insurance? They work with my insurance company so I don't have to. My repairs can begin without delay. Amazing. I'll call E.C. Malone Roofing right away. Thanks, Malone.
If the money's yours, you should have it. That's why State Treasurer David McRae has returned a record $80 million in unclaimed money to Mississippians. And there's hundreds of millions more, maybe with your name on it. Check the list. Visit www.treasury.ms.gov and see if you have any of the unclaimed money. Each year, banks, utilities, businesses, brokers, and insurance companies turn over millions of dollars to the state because they're not sure who is entitled to the funds. Treasurer McRae has an entire unclaimed money staff waiting to take your claim and return your money. Check the list today. Treasury.ms.gov.
More scores.
All right, Chris, welcome back to Friday Night Under the Lights. As we enter the next quarter hour, we want to remind you that you can call us if you'd like to give us a report on your game. We'd certainly love to hear from you. 1-877-MPB-RING. And for those that like numbers, it's 1-877-672-7464. Let me give you a few more scores. Pass Christian defeated Greene County tonight 28-6. It was Perry Central over St. Patrick 33-13. The score I have, Raleigh defeated Pisgah by the score of 60-0.
Wow.
It was Richland over Lanier 23-20. Moorville beat Smithville 37-6. It was Long Beach edging South Jones 35-34. North Pontotoc over South Pontotoc 35-17. St. Stanislaus 23, Stone 14. West Lincoln edged Silva Bay 15-14. It was Union over Eupora 48-14. West Lauderdale beat Leaks Central 47-31. Wilkinson County, or actually Lord Starr defeated Wilkinson County by the score of 44-30. And we'll have obviously more scores as the night goes on. Danny Davis, our guest host tonight, filling in for Russ Robinson, who was down at West Jones tonight. But Danny, I mean, just talking about the season so far, I mean, I know you've seen some teams. You haven't seen everybody. But who are some of the teams that you've been really impressed with?
Well, I tell you, and Clinton's been playing the non-district schedule, but 6A teams, and I tell you what, I saw South Panola last week. I was very impressed with them. But the team that was really impressive that I listened to it on the radio, I didn't go, was Grenada. Grenada is very good. Okay. The coach, well, and both of them have new coaches. I believe South Panola has the guy that was at Senatobia that took them to the state championship against Columbia a few years ago.
Okay.
And they've got a new coach at Grenada. And in fact, Michael Fair, he played football at Mississippi State. His son is the quarterback. And Grenada's very good. I can't remember whether they're undefeated or not. They got a new turf up there. They got a beautiful stadium. And they look very good. Of course, Warren Central in the opening game, we saw them. Of course, we know Warren Central came back and beat Madison Central.
Yeah.
So you got in the north 6A, you got Warren Central, you've got South Panola, and you've got Grenada. And in the south, we were just talking about, you got West Jones and of course Picayune.
Yes.
So it's going to be interesting in 6A. Of course, 7A, just like we thought, Starkville and Tupelo's, very good. Tupelo lost to Houston of
Tennessee.
Houston, Tennessee, which is evidently a good team.
Yeah. And
Starkville lost to Louisville, which is a very good team.
Right.
But they're going to be very strong. And Madison Central's still very good. They lost to Warren Central, but they're strong, and so it's going to be interesting. I believe in South 4A. I believe my Columbia Wildcats down there, I believe they're still undefeated. I don't know if they played tonight.
Yeah.
But they were undefeated going into this week. And then, of course, in 4A, you got Louisville in the north.
Yes.
So you got some good teams out there.
Well, the paper, the Clarion Ledger, the poll that they have, which is kind of a hodgepodge of different things, but they list Oak Grove first as number one. And I haven't seen Oak Grove play, and I know they edged MRA in a really a shootout a couple of weeks ago.
Right.
But people talk about Oak Grove, some other teams down on the coast. I mean, Ocean Springs is good. I've heard people really like Gulfport's talent. I've heard that everybody I've heard talk about them talks about how talented they are. Well, they haven't won every game, but they're really talented.
Well, you've got Blake Pennick. Of course, Blake Pennick was the offensive coordinator for Cam Akers at Clinton.
Yeah.
And then he went down there, I believe, to Pass High and did well. And the next year he went to Ocean Springs, did very well there with the quarterback Hubbard and played for the South Championship. And now he's at Gulfport, and they've done very well. So they've got some good talent down there. Ocean Springs done well, and Gulfport's done well. I know they've done very well down there on the coast so far. Picayune has a few losses, but that doesn't mean anything.
Doesn't really mean anything. I mean, they lost to Ocean Springs last week, and then they lost from that school from Baton Rouge, I think.
Yes.
It was a really good program. Yeah. So I mean, they have two losses, but they're two really quality opponents, and probably better than anybody they're going to see in 6A. So anyway,
but I tell you, Georgia, the game that really surprised me probably the most was that, when I heard about MRA and Oak Grove playing, I said, well, it won't be a close game. And MRA is literally 1 foot away from winning that game, going for two in the overtime.
Right.
And that was pretty impressive against Oak Grove, the fact that they beat Hoover, Alabama the week before, a nationally ranked team normally, So that was, and of course MRA had that narrow loss with the team up in Little Rock, Arkansas.
Yeah, I can never think. It starts with a P. I can't think of the name.
Pisgah.
No, it's something different than that. I can't think of the name of it, but it's they are a little bit unorthodox in the way that they play, but they've got a great record. So
was MRA open tonight?
I think they had a game. I'm not sure. I mean,
they were playing Oak Forest, I believe.
Yeah, that's right. They were playing Oak Forest.
Or either Hartfield was playing them.
I think Hartfield was playing them. Let me look.
Yeah,
and
maybe
see.
Hartfield was playing them.
I've got, I've got everything here. Will the Thrill just gives us a plethora of information. I think they must have played. Let me see. We'll get a call in from somebody here in a little while.
We will, and we've got a couple of callers now.
Okay.
If you're ready for one.
Yeah, sure. Go ahead. Who we got?
So, I can't. It's Harold, and he wants to talk for a moment about region play with Starkville. Here you go.
Okay, sure.
Hey, Harold, how you doing tonight?
What's up, guys? How are you?
Well, we're fine.
Great.
How about you?
Well, we didn't have ball games tonight in our region, except we had some that were of interest, which got one for you.
Okay.
This is a shocker from down on the coast.
Okay.
Meridian beats Harrison Central 30-29.
Wow.
Oh, that was a barn burner. What a game.
And then D'Iberville goes to Wayne County, and they put up, I don't know if this is a basketball score or what you want to put it, but D'Iberville wins 64-31.
My goodness. And
D'Iberville was playing
Meridian,
who?
And Biloxi goes over to Alabama and scores, and they win 55-22.
Who were they playing over there?
They were playing LaFleur.
Okay.
So I wanted to get y'all some scores of that interest to you. I know that, but our region plays begin next week, and there's going to be some outstanding ball games.
Now, Peddle's your team. Peddle's your team.
Right, and we will go to Brandon to take on the Brandon Bulldogs next week.
Ooh, okay.
Yeah. Tough place to play.
Pearl will be at Northwest Rankin. And then Oak Grove takes on these Meridian Wildcats. So, guys, region play next week for 7-3A, and then down on the coast, if I'm not mistaken, Biloxi takes on Gulfport. Ocean Springs will take on D'Iberville, and Harrison Central takes on St. Martin. So
big matches next weekend.
There's
some big matches on the coast next weekend. Hey,
there's going to be some big ones. There's going to be some big ones up here. The 7A, 3A, and 4A right now. It's I would say it's up for grabs. But I'm going to tell you something. It's going to be an interesting season to see when region play comes up, because, as I said, and this, if I'm not mistaken, the games with Brandon and Oak Grove and Meridian, I want to say they're going to be played on Thursday night.
Okay.
Yes. Okay.
I want to say that we play Brandon on Thursday, and I think Pearl plays Northwest Rankin on Thursday.
Mm-hmm.
And I kind of want to say Oak Grove and Meridian will play on a Thursday, but I'm not real sure.
And I think that's maybe because a shortage of officials. Is that right? They were talking about that before the season.
I'm thinking that's what it was. And guys, I'm gonna tell you something. If you hadn't seen Columbia play, the Columbia Wildcats are for real, folks.
They are. And in fact,
this bunch from Columbia goes up. Gaucher goes down, and they lose 27-7 down there tonight. So, Sacred Heart's unreal. They are 18. They won tonight. They're a good ball club. There are some good ball clubs around here, guys.
Absolutely.
And,
Harold,
who gets to Ole Miss or wherever the playoffs are this year? Hey, you gonna have some fights.
Absolutely. Thanks a lot, Harold. We appreciate you calling in and give us that information. We'll talk to you next week. Okay.
Oh, yeah, we will be on the phone with y'all next week after our game against Brandon.
Okay, thank you. All right,
guys.
Who do we have next, Chris?
Josh West.
Josh.
Good evening, Josh.
Man, how you guys doing?
Well, we're okay. How about yourself?
Well, it's just one of those games where you can't be upset. It was a instant classic in Florida tonight. And Taylorsville, we know that Taylorsville has played a brutal schedule. Losses to McGee and losses to Raleigh and to Bay Springs and the Simpson Academy. And so maybe the best 1-4 team in the state. And they come on the road tonight in a game that went down to the final play, and they survived and knocked Tri-County from the unbeaten 40-35.
Wow.
What a great game.
Now, in the last seconds, did Taylorsville hang on and win, or did Taylorsville score and win?
Taylorsville hung on and won. So Tri-County's back and forth all night long. Tri-County had their first deficit of the year. Tri-County trailed at the half for the first time this year. It was 6-0 early, and then Tri-County went up 7-6. Tri-County gave up a 100-yard pick six.
Oh, my.
Down and then answered in the final minute of the first half on a 15-yard pass play, and we're down 18-14 at the half. Then Tri-County gets a 95-yard pick six, and it was just back and forth like that all night long. And Tri-County covered an onside kick, and then Taylorsville got the pass breakup to hold on and win 40-35.
Well, Josh, thanks for your call. Great game. Sorry for your behalf that Tri-County lost, but it sounds like they played a great ball game.
Played a great ball game, and Taylorsville's going to be one to watch.
All right, Josh, thank you so much. We got to take a break. When we come back, we'll have more Friday Night Under the Lights. We'll remind you that support for Friday Night Under the Lights comes from the College Savings of Mississippi, a division of the State Treasury of Mississippi. We'll be back in just a moment.
When storms rage, Malone responds. From claim to completion, Malone Roofing has helped rebuild communities for nearly 50 years. Contact Malone for 24/7 service at ecmalone.com.
Mississippi football families, have you thought about how you're going to tackle student loan debt? Don't do it on your own. Pass the ball to State Treasurer David McRae and his College Savings Mississippi team today. With College Savings Mississippi, you can lock in today's tuition rate, prepay college, and avoid student loan debt altogether. Don't let your finances get sacked because you didn't invest in your child's education. Visit treasury.ms.gov/college savings to learn more today.
Did you know HBCUs are a great place to network? Did you know Cricket has a great network with speedy 5G and is a proud supporter of HBCUs? Yes.
Everybody already knows.
Dante, did you know this is an A and B conversation? So you need to see yourself out. He knows now.
See your name and file your claim. Even the smallest counties in Mississippi usually have thousands of people whose names are on the unclaimed money list at the Mississippi State Treasury. That's right. Many counties even have tens of thousands of names listed, totaling tens of millions in unclaimed dollars. Since he's been state treasurer, David McRae has returned a record $80 million to Mississippians who've searched the list, found their names, and staked their claim. About 1 in 10 Mississippians have unclaimed money, and that's why you should check www.treasury.ms.gov or click on Unclaimed Money and search today. If you see your name, file your claim. If it's your money, Treasurer David McRae will get it back to you.
Well, George, the first half an hour is down. We have plenty of callers, more callers to come, but it's back to you.
All right, Chris, thank you so much. As we continue on week 6 of Friday Night Under the Lights, just to finish up that, Danny, talk about Tri-County. That's an interesting matchup, Taylorsville and Tri-County.
It is, that is.
And when we're seeing more and more of that, you know, really interesting matchups, like Prep goes and plays West Jones.
Yes,
and this game tonight, Tri-County, who's perennially a good MAIS school, smaller school, but playing another smaller school in Taylorsville, which is tradition-rich.
Yes.
That was a good ball game, 40-35.
Yeah, that was a very good matchup, and I'm sure Tri-County, even though they lost, it was great to play somebody like that, competition like that.
Absolutely.
With Taylorsville.
And you mentioned to me that Tri-County, they have Clinton Christian, who is kind of having they had a bad year last year, but they're kind of having a rebound season this season. They won their 5th game tonight, beat Columbia Academy 20-13.
That's right. And Teddy Dice, that won the 2 championships at Lumberton and also won a state championship at McGee, and was coach last year at Ridgeland, and is over at CCA, and they lost their first 2 games to some tough competition to Greenville St. Joe, and I believe it was Madison St. Joe. Mm-hmm. But they've won 5 games in a row, and they go to Florida next Friday night to play Tri-County, a team they've never beat before, so it may be an interesting matchup.
Yeah, it may be. All right, who do we have on? No one on the phone?
callers right at the moment.
All right, I thought we had somebody, but that's okay. If you want to call us about your ball game, and we know we've got a lot of our regular people that we call in the show just every week that didn't have a game tonight, so they're kind of taking the week off. Kerry Metzler, I think, he was talking about he's going to visit family. Reed Vance is probably in his PJs by now. Well, he's probably been in his PJs for an hour, so
probably so.
He's taking it easy. Greg Flynn was nice enough to call us in, but if you'd like to call us from about your ball game or to talk about your school, you can always do that at 1-877-672-7464. That's 1-877-MPB-RING. Let me give you some scores. Try to work in some that we've mentioned before, or maybe not have not mentioned. But Columbus tonight defeated New Hope by the score of 23-0. This was an interesting game. I saw some of the highlights on the TV news last night. Provine and Jim Hill, and they really played a slobber knocker. It was 42-36. Provine prevailed. That's their 4th win of the year, but that's an interesting game, And some of the JPS schools are having a better year this year. I know Murrah's having a good year.
Yes.
Wingfield won a ball game, hadn't won a game since 2019. We talked about that a couple of weeks ago. But it is kind of nice to see them kind of, they got talent. It's just, sometimes it doesn't show up on the field, but it's nice that some of them are having some good rebound years.
And Provine only lost to Terry last week, I think, like 6-0.
That's right.
That was a very good game.
That's right. It sure was. Let's see. Let me mention a couple of more. Kosciuszko won their 4th game. They've only lost 1. They've defeated Caledonia tonight, 42-28. Mentioned this one earlier. Winona over Charleston, 48-26. Let me see if I can give you some others, some games that we.
George, what about Winona? They've had a great year. Do you know what their record is?
I do. They're undefeated. They're 6-0.
They beat Grenada in the first game of the season. And
really?
That may be Grenada's only loss. And I heard that Winona has at least maybe 2 Division I's, maybe more than that. They have a very good ball team.
Well, they're a 3A school.
Yes.
So and that's kind of the interesting thing. It's sort of. It's kind of interesting. You watch a college team, and unless they've got some, a couple of or 3 or 4 or 5 NFL people that they could play maybe NFL ball, they don't really have talent.
That's right.
And like in high school football, if you see a high school team, that's got 2 or 3 or 4 prospects that could play college football, that shows you they've got talent.
That's right.
So if you don't have that, it's kind of hard.
You got to have it. Yeah.
Yeah.
To compete.
Absolutely. Let's see. Hancock edged Florence tonight, 22-20. It was now Harold gave us this score a few minutes ago. He said the Iberville defeated Wayne County 64-31. Which is sounds like a game that Russ would like.
95 points, yes.
Yeah,
it would be.
I mean, I'm the type. 95 points in a high school game.
That's a lot.
You think about that. I mean, they play 12-minute quarters, right?
That's right.
I mean, a college game, a pro game, 60 minutes. A high school game is 48 minutes. It's significantly shorter.
That's right.
And to score 95 points in 48 minutes. You're scoring some points,
and it must have taken 3 hours to play that game. With all the timeouts and the extra points and kickoffs and everything.
It was Pulaski, and that's
Pulaski,
the name of the Pulaski.
That's
yeah,
what
that's
it was.
what I was trying to think of. And the MRA, the guy that calls in for MRA, was talking about that game a couple of weeks ago, and it lasted 4 hours. And I'm thinking, gee whiz, a high school game lasting 4 hours, but I mean, it was just unbelievable. It's like 45 to 46 or something like that.
And something crazy happened at the end of the game. I don't know if he talked about that on the show, where they kicked off at the end of the game and seconds were left, and the other team's cheerleaders and fans were on the field when they were trying to run the kickoff back, and the referees did nothing. Of course, that was the MRA people telling me that now.
Yeah.
So it could have been. It was kind of crazy.
I remember hearing about that too. That was a crazy ending. Calhoun City won again tonight. That's a 2A school. I think Calhoun City used to be a higher classification than that.
I think so. Maybe they were 3A.
Maybe 3A at one point.
Weren't they in the state championship game last year?
Well, I'm not 100% sure, but Calhoun City's been in the championship plenty of times.
Yes.
But they're now 6-0 in 2A. They defeated Hamilton tonight by the score of 40-14. So let me look at a few others. Philadelphia won. Philadelphia beat J.Z. George 54-12. Of course, mentioned this one a little bit earlier, but West Jones at home. And didn't Russ tell us, Chris, that that's in Soso?
Yeah, it is in Soso. Yes, I've been there. Yes,
you've been to Soso.
Yes.
Okay, which is not far from Laurel.
No, it's just on Highway 80, US 84 out a little bit, and you see the sign that says West Jones. A little trivia there. That school was called Northwest Jones when they first started out because Columbia was playing where I lived, and of course you have Northeast Jones and you have South Jones. You have so many good teams down there.
Right.
And Laurel, of course.
Yeah. But anyway, West Jones is 6-0 now. Defeated Prep tonight by the score, Jackson Prep by the score of 21-6. That's Prep's first loss. And, I heard Russ during the week, he was talking about, Prep's got a few injuries here and there. And really their season's really about to crank up. I mean, they've played JA, but they haven't played MRA yet, and they haven't played Hartfield yet.
That's right.
Well, and that extra score that got it to 24 didn't happen until the last 3 minutes of the game.
Okay.
So it had stayed really close.
Really close, yeah.
Up until then.
Yeah.
And we've got a caller when you're ready for one.
Sure, I'm ready for it right now. Who we got?
This is Brad Locke to talk about West Point versus Tupelo.
Oh, okay.
I want to hear about this one.
Yes. Thank you for joining us tonight. Tell us about that game.
Yeah, guys. Appreciate it. Good game, man. West Point came back and won 21-20, and it was kind of typical West Point. I mean, they just ran the ball and ran the ball and ran the ball, and they threw it twice.
That's typical West Point.
Yes. Yeah, Cannon Daniels had 121 yards and a touchdown. From Syrian Tillman Evans had 88 yards and 2 touchdowns. Then the defense got 2 big fourth down stops in the second half to help them pull out that win after they took the lead, and ended up with the 21-20 win. People had a couple of bad special teams mistakes. They botched an extra point snap after one of their touchdowns. That came back to haunt them, obviously. But then in the third quarter, West Point took the opening drive, drove down, scored, made it 20-14. The ensuing kickoff, the return men both just ran upfield and let the ball go over their heads, and it just rolled around back there, and West Point recovered it.
Wow, that's crazy.
And turned that to a touchdown. Yeah, that's miscommunication, I guess. They both thought the other guy was going to hang back, and so you can't do that against West Point, so they punched that in pretty quick. Got a fourth down stop, got another fourth down stop, and just an impressive win for West Point, which has probably played the toughest schedule in the state so far.
Now, was this game at Tupelo or West Point?
It was at Tupelo.
So it was on the blue field, right?
Oh yeah, it was on the blue turf. Really good atmosphere. West Point brought a lot of fans, and just a really good football game. I mean, Tupelo obviously, the coach Cy Harden thought they kind of gave it away with some of those mistakes, but I mean, just this first touchdown drive. Tell me if this is not peak West Point. The first touchdown drive they had went 80 yards in 19 plays. Took 11
typical
minutes,
West Point.
Off the clock.
Yeah.
Nearly 12-minute drive.
Yeah.
That's almost a quarter. Well, I mean, when West Point, I know they've had 2 losses. Who did they lose to?
They lost to Louisville and Starkville.
Well, I mean, there's 2 really good teams.
That's right.
But, I mean, that's really impressive. I mean, Tupelo's a good 7A school, and West Point's a 5A school. So that's really impressive.
Tell me how How impressive was I think the Tupelo quarterbacks of Division I and maybe one of their linebackers have a couple of Division I. How were those guys tonight? Did they make some big plays?
Jeremiah Harrell, the quarterback, ended up having a pretty good night overall, but he did get stopped a yard short on that last fourth down try with about 4.5 minutes left, and West Point never gave the ball back to him. But he ended up throwing for 166 yards and a touchdown. And the offense, they did a really good job in the first half, but the second half they just, that West Point defense has a way, I guess, of wearing you down, and they got to stop at the 5-yard line. They got to stop at the 27-yard line there in the second half.
We know.
Yeah, Tupelo does have some guys on. Go ahead.
Yeah, Tupelo, I think, ran the table last year. Didn't they finish the season, I believe, undefeated?
And lost in the playoffs.
And then Starkville knocked them off in the playoffs. So, and everybody's kind of expecting them to do that this year. Yeah. Well, that's a big win for West Point.
Yeah, well, so now Tupelo's 4-2 and West Point's 3-2.
All right, thank you so much for that report. We really appreciate it. That was a good report, and we thank you.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
All right. Well, we've got another break coming up. We'll remind you that support for Friday Night Under the Lights comes from the State Treasury of Mississippi and College Savings Mississippi, the administrators of the Mississippi Affordable College Savings Plan. Their website is thetreasury.ms.gov/college savings. We'll be back with more Friday Night Under the Lights in just a moment.
If the money's yours, you should have it. That's why State Treasurer David McRae has returned a record $80 million in unclaimed money to Mississippians. And there's hundreds of millions more, maybe with your name on it. Check the list. Visit www.treasury.ms.gov and see if you have any of the unclaimed money. Each year, banks, utilities, businesses, brokers, and insurance companies turn over millions of dollars to the state because they're not sure who is entitled to the funds. Treasurer McRae has an entire unclaimed money staff waiting to take your claim and return your money. Check the list today. Treasury.ms.gov.
Leaky roof? Malone Roofing has you covered long after the storm. Mississippi's roofing experts, setting the industry standards. Family owned for over 50 years. Call today or visit online at ecmalone.com.
Did you know HBCUs are a great place to network? Did you know Cricket has a great network with speedy 5G and is a proud supporter of HBCUs?
Everybody already knows.
Dante, did you know this is an A and B conversation? So you need to see yourself happy. He knows now.
Mississippi football families, have you thought about how you're going to tackle student loan debt? Don't do it on your own. Pass the ball to State Treasurer David McRae and his College Savings Mississippi team today. With College Savings Mississippi, you can lock in today's tuition rate, prepay college, and avoid student loan debt altogether. Don't let your finances get sacked because you didn't invest in your child's education. Visit treasury.ms.gov/college savings to learn more today.
And George, we're back. We've got a couple of callers on the phone. When you're ready, it's back to you.
All right, Chris, thank you so much. Thanks for joining us on Friday Night Under the Lights as we proceed on talking about high school football. Not everybody played, but there were some big games, and one of those playing tonight was Hartfield Academy. And we've got Joseph Craven. Let's talk to Joseph. Joseph, you with us?
Am I already on?
Yeah, you're already on.
My goodness.
You're already on.
I'm over here. I'm having a great talk with Ty, and then all of a sudden I'm just like I'm expecting to wait. And here we are. I'm wondering, what's up, guys?
Well, it just the timing worked out well. Tell us about Hartfield tonight taking on Oak Forest.
Well, the Hawks went down 55 and are heading back up, almost scoring 55. Final score was 54-0 in favor of Hartfield. Oh, my goodness.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, Hartfield, that is win number 8. Is that not correct?
7 or 8? I forget which week this is. I think that is win number 8. Yes.
Okay. Well, according to Will Watson's spreadsheet, he would be win number 8, which I would predict. I would think that's probably right. But they are really rolling.
Yeah, they were. What was tripping me up a little bit is playing in a week 0 game, so this would have been week 7. But you're absolutely right. They're rolling, and it's been this team so far. The way that we've come up to really describe them is that they're the type of team that shows up knowing who they are and saying, this is what we're going to do to beat you tonight, and you have to try to stop us. And so far, no one's really stopped them. And it's not necessarily always the flashiest play. It's not necessarily always big plays. And it's not always just defense or offense. You know, it's a complete team effort. It's just this is a very, very good team. I'm having a blast getting a chance to call the games for this team and watch them. And we've got a huge matchup next week that we're all very excited about.
Which is against who?
The Patriots of Madison Ridgeland Academy. So
oh, wow.
Two of the teams that are looking to make a potential run in the MAIS 6A will meet up at Hartfield next Friday night, and I know both of those squads are geared up for that matchup.
Well, I know you guys added some bleachers, I believe, out there, and I'm sure there won't be any empty seats, right?
No, probably not. We're going to have people sitting out on the grass on the hill. We might have to fly in the Goodyear blimp to help out with the broadcast for coverage, just to make more room for more people. Now, I think it's going to be most of Rankin and Madison counties might be turning out for that matchup.
I want to ask you a question about last week, Stanley Davis. And in fact, my 10-year-old grandson goes to Hartfield. Okay, I'll give you a shout out for that. But when they played Lafayette County, and Lafayette County used to be perennial. Played for the state championships down here in Jackson. Did you guys really think that Hartfield could beat them that bad?
No, absolutely not. No, I don't think anyone was prepared for something like that. And I say that, of course, obviously with as much respect to Lafayette County as possible. You know, we know exactly who they are. We knew coming into that game that's a good team and a great program and a storied history, and we're very excited about that. I think that's why I mentioned that this Hartfield team is a team that comes out there with a very firm understanding of who they are, and that's what they walked into that game. Anytime there's been adversity, the Hawks have stepped up and said, okay, like, you may hit first or whatever, but we know exactly what we're capable of doing, and they respond every time. And so Lafayette County coming in and being what was definitely going to be the toughest competition of the season so far, Hartfield rose to the occasion and just said, okay, if that's what we're going to have to deal with, we're coming in and we're matching that, and we're doing exactly what we know we're capable of doing. And they have a firm identity. They just do, and it's made it a unique team.
Well, Joseph, thanks for calling in that report, and we look forward to hearing from you next Friday night. That big matchup against MRA should be a great game.
Absolutely. I'm looking forward to the chance to broadcast, and we also have a great opportunity where earlier in the week on Wednesday night, a lot of our student body, or a lot of the MRA student body, will get together on Wednesday night for a late night night of worship out on the Hartfield football field, and it's this unique tradition we started up last season between the two schools. It's cool to partner with them on something like that too.
Yeah, well, sounds great thing. Sounds great. All right, thanks a lot, Joseph. We'll talk to you next week.
Absolutely. Y'all have a good one.
All right, Chris, who's next?
Mike Peterson, talk about Hattiesburg.
Mike, I'm not sure if Hattiesburg had a game tonight. I believe they were off. No, they had a game tonight. They played George County. Tell us how that game came out.
Hattiesburg is trailing 28-20 with 12 seconds to go in the fourth quarter. Scores a touchdown, makes the 2-point conversion, sends it to overtime, holds George County on 4 downs into overtime, and on the first play of overtime, Hattiesburg running back Tavares Wade takes it in for the touchdown. Tigers win at 34-28 in overtime.
What a great game. Wow.
That's a great game. George County, that's only their second loss. Hattiesburg's now 4-2. That's a big win. Is that a district game for Hattiesburg?
It was not a district game.
Okay.
William Lee and George County is in Region 4.
I got you. Okay, all right. But that's still, regardless, that's a great win for Hattiesburg.
That's right. Takes us to 4-2 on the year, and we're off next week, and in 2 weeks we start region play.
Okay, well that, I know Hattiesburg is, kind of been up and down the last couple of years, and you've been just so faithful to call in, but I just congratulate them because the Tigers needed that victory, and that's a great win for them.
Yes, it is.
All right.
Thank y'all.
Sure.
For doing. I'll be talking to you in 2 weeks.
All right, we look forward to it. We'll talk to you in
luck.
a couple of weeks, Mike. Thank you so much.
Matt Teams is on here with about Holmes. I think it's Holmes County Academy, isn't it? Here you go. Here he is. Here's
All right.
Matt.
Matt, thanks for joining us tonight. Tell us about.
Man, went up to Canton tonight, or down to Canton, and the Central High Trojans took them on, and it was the Chris Hunter show, as you may well have known through the season. He scored every touchdown
for
Canton Academy. 43-14 was the final score. The Trojans fought hard and came back, scored a couple of touchdowns in the second half, but Chris Hunter was working the outside of the field all night long and got out there and made some plays and did a good job.
Yes, we've heard of him. I know he had 268 yards a few weeks ago in a game, and he was Player of the Week for one of the local TV stations. So we've heard about him.
So that was. Go ahead.
Yeah, he might get it again.
Yeah, that was 47-14. Canton Academy was the win, right?
I believe that was the final score.
Okay.
I had it 43-14, but I may be wrong.
Okay. No. I just misunderstood you. 43-14 over Central Holmes Christian, and that Central Holmes they've got a 4-3 record, so they've had a good season so far.
Sure.
Yeah, they have. They've had some tough games earlier in the season that they could have won. They just had some trouble with the snap tonight that plagued them in another game early in the season. But they had a shotgun snap problem. But one of their players, one of their best players on the team tonight, hampered them because he got hit with a targeting call and has a major concussion, and it knocked him out of the game. And he was one of their main keys to the offense and defense. When you're a school with, the size of Central Holmes and Canton Academy, you can't afford to lose anybody. So.
Right.
That did hurt him, and we hope that he recovers well, whatever protocol they have to go through.
Right. All right, Matt, thank you so much for calling in and giving us a report on your game. We'll be talking to you in the weeks to come.
All right. We got 3 more games left and then the playoffs, so we're looking to run the table and then get in the playoffs, get after it.
Sounds good. Thank you so much. Chris?
Thanks. Take care, y'all.
All right. No other calls at the moment. Okay. All right. Well, you were talking about, Canton Academy. I know for years, they kind of struggle, but in the last few years, they've really sort of built a pretty good program in Canton.
Well, Craig Bowman is at Hartfield Academy, won a state championship up there not too many years ago. So they've kind of come around. But I've heard about this guy. I believe he had 268 yards against Central Hines a few weeks ago, and it sounds like that's maybe the norm for this guy.
Yeah, I saw some of that, the highlight on TV, and they were just bouncing off of him, and he's just going down the field, kind of like Bo Jackson style.
Yeah. And I don't know his status as far as Division I. I don't know if he's a senior or what classification he is.
Yeah.
But that's pretty impressive.
That is impressive. Let's see. I'm trying to look and see if I can give you some scores of games. Of course, we just had mentioned overtime win, Hattiesburg over George County, 34-28. Hartfield really kind of just bowling over people, beating usually Oak Forest team, but beating them 54-0. And they got MRA next week, and MRA was playing East Rankin. I don't have a report on that one yet, but You know, MRA has 2 losses. That one to Pulaski of Little Rock, and then the other one was to Oak Forest.
Well, you know,
so they played some competition, so that's going to be a really good game.
There's going to be a traffic jam on Lakeland Drive, Highway 25 next week.
Well, there's always a traffic jam on Lakeland Drive, but even worse.
Yeah, because you got Prep, and then you got Hartfield on down a little further. But
yeah,
and you know, Hartfield did some work on their stadium this year. They expanded it, so that'll be a great game next weekend.
Yeah, no doubt that'll be a really interesting game to watch and to follow. Of course, we're about to wrap up our first hour. This is Friday Night Under the Lights. This is week 6 of season 33. We'll remind you that you can call us at 1-877-MPB-RING, and that's 1-877-672-7464. We've got an hour to go, and in the next hour, about halfway through that hour, we'll have our 8-man report from Noah Crow, and we'll have other callers, and we have, of course, we'll give you some scores. And Danny Davis filling in for Russ Robinson tonight. I'm George Broadstreet along with Chris Saxton, and we'll remind you that support for Friday Night Under the Lights comes from Malone Roofing. Malone Roofing features roofing, metal, walls, and maintenance. They serve Mississippi, Alabama, Louisiana, and Florida's Panhandle. That's both commercial and residential roofing, and information can be found at ecmalone.com. We'll be back with more Friday Night Under the Lights in just a moment.
People who come to Cricket stay with Cricket. Like one of our favorite customers, Michelle.
I started my own app company, and with Cricket, I'm able to answer calls from my engineers and investors and know my signal's going to be great. If I had to describe Cricket in 2 words, they would be reliable and affordable.
5G boss mode activate. Smile, you're on Cricket.
Mississippi football families, have you thought about how you're going to tackle student loan debt? Don't do it on your own. Pass the ball to State Treasurer David McRae and his College Savings Mississippi team today. With College Savings Mississippi, you can lock in today's tuition rate, prepay college, and avoid student loan debt altogether. Don't let your finances get sacked because you didn't invest in your child's education. Visit treasury.ms.gov/college savings to learn more today.
Anytime, any store. Malone Roofing has you covered. Number 1 in roof replacement, roof repairs, and sheet metal fabrication. Call today or visit online at ecmalone.com. Family owned for over 50 years.
1 in 10 Mississippians has unclaimed money awaiting claim at the state treasury. There's literally hundreds of millions of dollars waiting to be united with the rightful owner. At www.treasury.ms.gov to search. You'll see your name and stake your claim by following these instructions. You'll be asked for some basic ID like a copy of your license or a government-issued ID, then hit send. Treasurer David McRae has a dedicated unclaimed money team awaiting your claim, ready to return your money. Don't wait. Look for your name and stake your claim today. www.treasury.ms.gov.
George, we're back here for the second hour, and on the phone to talk to you is Tommy Barnett about JA.
Tommy, thanks for calling in. Tell us a little bit about the JA game tonight against Madison St. Joe.
Well, George is our first game back after a week off. About what you'd expect. First quarter and a half, kind of sloppy by both teams. JA led us a half, 15-8. Coach Blackwell told me at the halftime interview he really wanted to establish a ground game second half, and Jay did that. Jay was very balanced tonight. I think right at 280 yards total offense, 142 on the ground, 135 through the air. Jay pulls away late, win 29-14. Most importantly, is a conference win for us. Our guys kind of struggled. think kind of that Lamar loss let Prep beat us twice. Jay defense was kind of the story tonight. St. Joe, you know, they like to George. They go 4 and 5 wide. They don't run it much. Jay had 8 sacks tonight.
Wow.
Well,
you know, I mean, it's kind of interesting. You know, Madison St. Joe. I can remember I grew up with St. Joseph High School was over in Northwest Jackson. And they moved to Madison, you know, 15 years ago, something like that, quite a while. But that's, you know, you got a real a rival there, kind of in your backyard a little bit. But and that game was at Madison St. Joe.
Yeah, it was at St. Joe. It was their homecoming tonight. So Jay put a little bit of a damper on that. But a good game between both teams. Madison St. Joe's they've got some dudes. I mean, they've got some players.
Yeah, their quarterback's kind of highly rated. Is that right?
He is, and he's only a sophomore.
Oh, okay.
King White is his name, but he can really spin it.
Well, now, J.A., who do they have next?
So next week we're going to be challenged. We have homecoming next week in the Brickyard against Starkville Academy. I think Starkville's only lost one game this year, and that's
right.
Hartsfield.
That's right.
So that's the thing to really shake a stick at. We'll have to play well to beat Starkville next week.
Starkville's got a pretty good ball. Starkville Academy's got a pretty good ball club, is what I've heard.
Yeah, I think I have them as one of my favorites in 5A right now.
All right, Tommy, thanks so much for calling in. We appreciate the report. We'll look forward to talking to you next week.
Thank you, guys. Have a great weekend, and God bless.
Thank you. All right.
Here you go, John Weaver, to talk about MRA.
Yeah, okay, John. We had our caller from Hartfield on a little while ago, and I don't want to bypass tonight's game, but MRA's got a big game next week. But tell us about the win tonight against East Rankin.
Well, you know, it's always we hadn't played, it feels like, in a month. The game at Oak Grove feels like it was probably a month ago, but it was only a week ago. We came off a bye week, played East Rankin tonight. Won 51-14. A lot of the younger guys got to play tonight. It was 37-0 into the first quarter.
Ooh, 37-0.
Probably one of the fastest games I've ever been a part of. It was an hour and 32 minutes.
Oh, man.
I just had a text from someone that said it was a running clock in the second quarter. It's Danny Davis. Is that right?
It was probably a minute and a half left to go in the first quarter, and the clock was running.
I've never heard of that in the first quarter.
Yeah, and look, that's neither here nor there. And then, just we took care of business that we were supposed to do, and we have a big opponent coming up this next week. I think a lot of people in the state are going to be looking at that one, especially in our conference. We're going to be looking at us going to Flowood and playing the Hartfield Hawks.
Well, that's Hartfield is. I know that sometimes schools they win and they don't get a lot of attention. I don't think they've gotten a lot of attention. This is certainly a game they probably had circled for a long time.
Yeah, I mean, it has to be, but I mean they beat us last year, last regular season game. They beat us on the last second field goal. And we don't forget that one either. But
right.
Certainly not.
Each year to its own, and it's got to be played, but for 48 minutes. So we're going to find out on next Friday night around this time. Hopefully, I'm calling you with the same result I called it was about tonight. Maybe it's not a running clock, but look, it's going to be a great football game. It's two well-coached teams. It's two
absolutely
teams that know each other. Kids know each other. What's the cool part is we're going to have a Unite night. We did this last year.
Yes.
Yes.
That's a great thing.
Two teams, one field, one faith, for a night of worship on Wednesday night. Both teams come together. Both campuses will come together, and we host that at the team that is hosting will host that event. So we'll go back to Hartfield again this year, this Wednesday night for Unite night, which is a really cool thing. Football is an end-all, be-all, right? People get excited about from the South in the fall, and Friday night's going to happen. But we're going to praise our Lord and Savior Jesus Christ, and He gave us all these talents, those kids the talent, and that Wednesday night is going to be all about Him.
It's great.
It sounds like a good event, and I wish you luck, and I look forward to hearing about the game next weekend because that's going to be one of the marquee games, certainly of the season at this point.
John, this is Danny. I wanted to ask you a question. I guess the quarterback, White, I guess he was not in the game very long.
He played 4 series, and then we took him out. I don't know what his stats were. I know he threw 3 touchdown passes in the first quarter. Yardage-wise, I don't know. We scored 4 touchdowns. Charles Simpson scored 1 rushing, and John threw 2 to Case Thomas and threw another one to Charles out of the backfield.
Yes, I know all about Case Thomas. His uncle, Matt Thomas, very good friend of mine, and I've heard about him. And you guys in Hartfield, both of you have scored up in the 50s. I mean, you guys had that crazy game at Little Rock, and then you're 1 foot away from beating Oak Grove, and of course Hartfield has a big wins too, so it's setting up for a great matchup next week.
Yeah, I wouldn't want to be a defensive coordinator, I don't think.
That's right. It may be 50-40, 52. Yeah,
it's gonna be one of those. But look, this is what high school football is about.
That's right.
Especially in the South, when you start getting late in the season, you get the conference matchups, and actually the next 3 weeks are going to be the gauntlet for us. And we go to Hartfield, and we've been road dogs for the last. We hadn't played at home since the end of August.
Wow,
that's hard to believe.
So we've been road dogs for a little while, and we'll go to Hartfield, and then we'll play JA and Prep at home this year in back-to-back weeks. And then we'll go on the road and finish up at PCS. But I think a lot of people in the state, especially in our association, are eyeing that one Friday night on Flowwood Drive. So right off the road, I think is where they play. So it's going to be a fun one, and excited, ready for it.
All right, John, thanks so much for calling in tonight, and we look forward to talking to you next week, and best of luck.
All right,
Good
thank
luck.
y'all so much.
Thank you. Chris?
Who we have now is Coach Neal, head coach of the Hancock Hawks. Here you go.
Okay, Coach, thanks for joining us tonight. Appreciate you calling in. Tell us about your ball game tonight.
Well, we had an exciting one that ended with a last-second field goal. We were able to convert with roughly about 9 seconds left to go when we made it. We were down 20 to 19, and we're able to drive the field and kick one from about an extra point distance there. It was pretty short, but we were able to knock one in. We had 3 extra points blocked earlier in the night, so it was a big thing to get one through and get it blocked up properly so we could get out of there with the W. But it was a good home win. Our fans and community were out in full force tonight, so we had a good atmosphere for a homecoming game. And Florence is a tough ball club. They do a good job. Coach Davis does a really good job with that group and their coaching staff, and they came down here ready to play football. And it was a back and forth. Not a whole lot of points scored on either side, but we were fortunate to come out on the right side of it.
Well, we've given that score a couple of times a lot earlier in the night, but, Hancock winning 22-20, didn't know the details, didn't know you kicked a field goal in the waning seconds to win it, but that's your 6th win against no losses.
Yes, we've gotten off to a really good start.
Sure have.
We have done a good job this year. We brought back a lot of experience this year, and even the guys that had to step up this year that didn't have the number of starts under them, they had some playing time. So we had a lot of guys that had some Friday night experience, and it's kind of shown in clutch moments like tonight and that last drive, and we're able to within this season we've done a good job of taking advantage of what's been given to us. Our kids have played hard on both sides of the football. Our defense has put us in a good position throughout the year to where we can score and have opportunities to, and offense has been able to capitalize on that, put up some points, and special teams. Other than the extra points tonight, we've been pretty solid on that side too. But we've been very fortunate, and it's always good to good to be able to sleep at night after a win. And,
absolutely.
And, especially after 6 in a row.
Yeah. Now, tell me, we talked earlier in the night about some strong teams in 6A. Who's your competition in your district, do you think? Who's the strong team in your district?
Well, Picayune.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so
yes.
has been able to kind of they're in there with us now, and you get called state champion for a reason. They've been able to do so 2 years in a row. Coach Stogner and that group, and but every game in our district's kind of going to be it's going to be a battle. We start off district next week against West Harrison. It's 4-1, so they're sitting right there. George County, which played Hattiesburg tonight, and but they're 4-2.
Lost in overtime to Hattiesburg.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Then Pascagoula, which is 4-1, and
yeah,
a lot of good teams.
Yeah. So we and then of course we end the season with Picayune.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So yeah, we got a tough one ahead of us.
Yeah. Well, congratulations on your win tonight over Florence, 22-20. Coach, thanks for calling us in. We really do appreciate it. We know you got a lot going on a Friday night, and congratulations on your good season so far.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it, guys.
Congratulations.
All right. Head coach from Hancock, Neil Lawyer, calling us tonight, and we appreciate him calling in and giving us that report. We'll be back with more Friday Night Under the Lights in just a moment. We'll remind you that Friday Night Under the Lights support comes from Cricket Wireless. Phones, plans, and coverage information can be found on their website. We'll be back in just a moment.
Roof problems? Malone Roofing has you covered. Mississippi's residential and commercial roofing experts. Our work proves it. Call today or visit online at ecmalone.com. Family owned for over 50 years.
See your name and file your claim. Even the smallest counties in Mississippi usually have thousands of people whose names are on the unclaimed money list at the Mississippi State Treasury. That's right. Many counties even have tens of thousands of names listed, totaling tens of millions in unclaimed dollars. Since he's been state treasurer, David McRae has returned a record $80 million to Mississippians who've searched the list, found their names, and staked their claim. About 1 in 10 Mississippians have unclaimed money, and that's why you should check www.treasury.ms.gov or click on Unclaimed Money and search today. If you see your name, file your claim. If it's your money, Treasurer David McRae will get it back to you.
People who come to Cricket stay with Cricket. Like one of our favorite customers, Michelle.
I started my own app company, and with Cricket, I'm able to answer calls from my engineers and investors and know my signal's going to be great. If I had to describe Cricket in 2 words, they would be reliable and affordable.
5G boss mode activate. Smile, you're on Cricket.
Hello, Mississippi. Did you know that the average student graduates college with $30,000 worth of debt? That amount of debt can delay major life milestones, including getting married, buying a home, and starting a family. But don't worry, we've got some good news for you tonight. College Savings Mississippi and Treasurer David McRae can help you reduce or eliminate that debt. Their plans are flexible and affordable. Start saving for as little as $25 today. Visit treasury.ms.gov/college savings to learn more.
And George, we're back, and on the phone is Coach Tony Vance with Hattiesburg.
Well, let's go back to the phones immediately. Coach Vance, thank you for joining us tonight. We understand you had a great win tonight against George County.
Yeah, man, just a great ball game, man. It's a really good football team going at it for 4 quarters, and people got some free football.
Yeah, in overtime. And that, did I understand correctly? And we had a caller earlier I think you maybe had to score to push it into overtime.
Yeah, we had to score and get the 2-point conversion to send it overtime. Sure did.
Wow. And then won it in overtime on your first possession.
Yeah, I was able to get stops on 4 downs and was able to score on our first play, and I'm just glad to get out there with the win, man. It was a great game, and hats off to Coach Ray and his staff did an outstanding job preparing, coming into the game, and the kids played the hearts out.
Well, absolutely, and I know you're having a good year. That you're now 4-2 on the season with that win. We talk a lot about the different classifications, but there are a lot of good teams in 6A this year.
There are, man. I tell you what, from top to bottom, there's good games going to be played each and every week. So we just try to get better each week, and make sure that we got a chance to have a say-so in the end. I may be getting this wrong, but is your son your quarterback this year? Yeah, he is. Deuce Vance, so he's a junior.
Did he have a good game tonight?
Yeah, I don't know what the final stats was, but he did make some good plays for us. He actually scored the touchdown to cut it to 2 right before overtime. So,
yeah. Well, who do you have next week, Coach?
Next week, man, we can't lose. We got a bye week.
Well, you probably need one after this, after those 6 games. But who do you play the week after that?
We have Forest Hill coming up.
Okay.
So,
okay.
All right. Well, Coach Vance, we've got some other callers, but we certainly appreciate you joining us tonight, and congratulations on that win, and we look forward to talking to you later in the season.
Well, thanks, guys. Appreciate you having me on.
All right. Thank you. All right.
So we've got Granny to talk about the West Jones game. I think that's where he was. Hang on. Here's Granny.
Granny, Brian Grantham, but better known as Granny. Did you go to the West Jones prep game tonight?
Yeah, I did, sir. How you doing there? George and Danny.
And George and Danny.
Yes, how are you doing? Yes.
Yeah.
So you went to the Sticks tonight.
I went to the Sticks, and Russ, he was there, and he found out what the Sticks was. The reason it's the Sticks, there's nothing out there but a school, and it's in the woods, so it's the Sticks,
That's true. Yes, you're absolutely correct.
Russ, Russ found out what it was. He liked the blinking lights on the field and the band and the announcers real good, and the atmosphere out there is awesome, man. And he found out what that was. Russ wasn't even in the press box; he was in the bleachers. And they did the game from the bleachers, and they saw everything that they do there, and they enjoyed it. And but the only thing was, it wasn't enough offense for me. I liked offense. There was a ton of defense. It was 21-6 West Jones. West Jones, the best play that West Jones run tonight. They were facing they were on the 10-yard line. I think it was 3rd and goal. They brought in the middle linebacker to run the ball. He run the Wildcat, took a direct snap and run it in for a touchdown. The middle linebacker, Race Jones was his name, and he run it in for a touchdown, and that was the best play of the game. But they couldn't pass the ball. Jackson Prep couldn't run the ball, but they were trying to pass it, and they did a pretty good job doing passing the ball. But just saw a lot of offense and great defense, and 21-6 West Jones.
What kind of crowd did you have down there tonight?
Man, it was good on the home side. The Jackson Prep side, they had a lot of empty seats. But it was every time you go to West Jones, it's full on the home side. Every time. I don't care who they're playing, where they're at, or at the home side, it's always full. It's a big crowd there.
Is that the same guy? Is it Coach Pierce that's been there so long?
No, he quit last year. You got Corey Reynolds there now.
Okay, was he on the staff or is he's new?
No, he come in. He was on Settle's staff. I think,
I see.
But he was at South Jones years before that, and he's one of the few coaches that's won a lot of games at South Jones.
Oh yeah, they've done well.
So he's already been in the Jones County system, and they hired him, and they're undefeated. West Jones undefeated this year.
6-0.
Sounds good.
Granny, where do you go next week? Go ahead.
I don't know, but I'm gonna go somewhere. But I want to tell y'all, y'all talking about all these good teams. The best team that I have actually watched this year is Union.
Really?
Union, Mississippi.
And Union is undefeated, so keep an eye on Union.
Now,
Absolutely.
what classification is Union?
Maybe 1A or 2, maybe 2A.
And I think they're 3A.
3A, that could be 3A.
Okay.
And they got speed, they can run, they can throw. It was 48-45 over Newton County when I watched.
Okay.
That's the best team. That's the best team I've seen.
Well, Granny, I'll take your word for it because you've seen a lot of football.
That's right.
Oh yeah, I've been a lot of places, man.
Okay.
I'm gonna keep going a lot of places. Keep
All
going
right.
to them.
Well,
Good
thank
game.
you so much for calling in. We appreciate your report. We'll talk to you next week.
Hi, buddy. Thank y'all.
All right. Thank you, Chris. We got somebody else up.
Ray Coleman and
Ray.
then Jeff Hager.
Ray. Okay.
Hey, Ray.
We've been looking forward to you calling in tonight.
Absolutely.
Era's got their first win. Tell us about it.
Yeah, man, a 28-21 win over the Terry Bulldogs tonight at home. First win of the year, and you just kind of saw it come together for the Clinton Arrows. First and foremost, the fourth-string quarterback, Deshaun Malone, threw his first touchdown tonight. This was his third start this season. You know, I've talked about it on this show about how the Arrows have lost their three quarterbacks, you know, throughout the season, even before the season. So to see that young man have success, you know, you root for him, of course. Star of the night, though, Jacoby Williams, the running back for the Arrows, 31 carries, 158 yards, and 2 touchdowns. So
Very
just
impressive.
Just a heck of a performance by that young man, for sure.
Well, you know, I was telling Danny, and we were talking before the show started, that Clinton in 5 games has scored 42 points. And you know, you can't. You're not going to win a lot of football in this day and age. You know, scoring 8 points a game. But you got 4 touchdowns tonight. That had to feel good.
Yeah, and I think it's just a matter, you know, those guys finding their rhythm. You take away the top 3 quarterbacks from any team, man, they're gonna struggle.
Right.
They're gonna struggle offensively.
Against that schedule, Ray, right?
Yeah, against that schedule. So it just takes time. You know, these young men are talented, but they have faced a heck of a lot of adversity. It's like I said last week, though. Nobody cares about your adversity on Friday night. They just want to know, can you compete and can you play? And tonight, if not for just 1 week, the Clinton Arrows showed that they can do just that.
And Ray, you know, I was very impressed with Terry, that young man. I believe the running back Hall. You know, they've got some talent. There's a reason that they were 4-1 coming into the game.
Yeah, for sure, man. They got some talented guys on the outside. They're a little thin on the line, but they're skill players. I put them up against anybody, especially R.J. Hall. Man, he is a walking highlight. He made some guys, you know, quite honestly, look silly tonight. So kudos to that squad as well. They're going to be successful as the season progresses. But, you know, like I told y'all last week, I knew I would come back on this show at some point and say we got to win.
There you go.
I'm happy that it's the following week.
Yeah.
And the good thing about it, Ray, is that, you know, Clinton's got the bye week next week, and I believe we got some of those injured players coming back. So when we get ready for Region 2 7A.
Yeah, man, you may have an opportunity to get your starting quarterback, you know, back in the starting lineup. That'll be great. You're going to need them because we're about to hit that murderer's row of Starkville, Tupelo, Madison, and Germantown. So just get ready for that.
That's murderous
that's
row.
why we play, man. That's why we get ready for this time of year, the best time of the year, too.
Well, maybe you can get a win and make the playoffs, and that would kind of make the season feel a lot better.
Absolutely.
Sure.
All
sure,
right.
man. They all matter now. So.
That's exactly right. Ray, we got to run. Thanks for calling in. We appreciate your call.
Thank you, guys. Have a great night.
All right.
Thanks, Ray.
George,
All right.
Jeff Hager to talk about the coast.
Jeff Hager. Jeff, thank
evening,
you for
Jeff.
joining us. I think congratulations in order. I think you got a job move, but we won't talk about that too much. But tell us about football on the Gulf Coast.
Yeah, cat's out of the bag on that one, but I do appreciate it.
Sure.
Quick shout out if they're still listening. Tony Vance, a longtime friend, covered him in Hattiesburg when I was there, and Ray Coleman as well. So just quick shout out there. But yeah, some exciting games. So on the flip side of that George County Hattiesburg game, it was the return 4-star quarterback Deuce Knight, and then also Cole Bradley, a 3-star guy, the 2 that transferred to Lipscomb. So a big boost mid-season for the Rebels, but obviously Hattiesburg came to play in that one too. So really exciting game there. And then St. Stanislaus Stone was the first game I was at, and they, like St. Stanislaus, they have 4 wins now over competition, higher than their 3A classification. So they look good at 4-1. They won that one 23-14 over Stone. And then Hancock 6-0 for the first time since the year 2000. Dylan Moran playing some really good quarterback for the Hawks. They beat Florence on a game-winning field goal with 12 seconds left to win 22-20. And then a kind of a shocker because Harrison Central was our other undefeated team. They were 4-0, and they were leading 23-9 when I left in the third quarter. Meridian coming all the way back to win that one 30-29. So some really close, good games down here. So those were the ones that made our show. And, the Coast football just seems like it gets better and better.
So so go ahead, George.
No, go ahead.
Would you say 7A on the Coast? You think it's going to come down to Ocean Springs and Gulfport and maybe Harrison Central?
Ocean Springs, Gulfport, and in my opinion, I mean,
yes.
Their defense is elite, and I think there's going to be some extra. I don't know. I mean, I guess. How would you say it? I guess with the coaching move preseason, whenever they do face off in a few weeks, there's going to be kind of a game within a game. I'll say.
Jeff, I've watched you many times on TV. I had a traveling job for many years and stayed in Gulfport, Mississippi, many nights, and I've seen you a lot on the tube. So you do a great job.
I really appreciate that. It means a lot from you guys.
Yeah, well, Jeff, we appreciate it. I don't know. We kind of rely on you for Gulf Coast information. We're going to have to maybe figure something out the rest of the way, but thank you so much for calling tonight.
Thanks, Jeff.
Nothing says I still can't call in.
Well, we want you to because you do a great job, and we appreciate the information that you give us. And thank you so much, and we look forward to talking to you next week.
All right. Sounds good, guys. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, well, the music starts, and we've got Friday Night Under the Lights continuing, and we've got the Crazy 8 report with Noah Crow coming up. We'll remind you that support for Friday Night Under the Lights comes from Malone Roofing. They do roofing, metal walls, maintenance, serving Mississippi, Alabama, Louisiana, and Florida's Panhandle. Find out more information at ecmalone.com. We'll be back in just a moment.
Roof problems? Malone Roofing has you covered. Mississippi's residential and commercial roofing experts. Our work proves it. Call today or visit online at ecmalone.com. Family owned for over 50 years.
See your name and file your claim. Even the smallest counties in Mississippi usually have thousands of people whose names are on the unclaimed money list at the Mississippi State Treasury. That's right. Many counties even have tens of thousands of names listed, totaling tens of millions in unclaimed dollars. Since he's been state treasurer, David McRae has returned a record $80 million to Mississippians who've searched the list, found their names, and staked their claim. About 1 in 10 Mississippians have unclaimed money, and that's why you should check www.treasury.ms.gov or click on Unclaimed Money and search today. If you see your name, file your claim. If it's your money, Treasurer David McRae will get it back to you.
People who come to Cricket stay with Cricket, like one of our favorite customers, Michelle.
I started my own app company, and with Cricket, I'm able to answer calls from my engineers and investors and know my signal's going to be great. If I had to describe Cricket in 2 words, they would be reliable and affordable.
5G boss mode activate. Smile, you're on Cricket.
Hello, Mississippi. Did you know that the average student graduates college with $30,000 worth of debt? That amount of debt can delay major life milestones, including getting married, buying a home, and starting a family. But don't worry, we've got some good news for you tonight. College Savings Mississippi and Treasurer David McRae can help you reduce or eliminate that debt. Their plans are flexible and affordable. Start saving for as little as $25 today. Visit treasury.ms.gov/college savings to learn more.
Well, George, it's that time of the evening. It's 11:30 and time for Crazy Eights, and here is Noah Crow.
All right, Noah, we started this several years ago featuring a part of our program and trying to spotlight 8-man football and give us some of that attention. Tell us where you were tonight.
I was in Prentice as Princess Christian School played Christian Collegiate Academy.
All right, how did that game turn out?
Christian Collegiate won 52-8.
Wow. Okay.
With the help of DJ Briggs, a guy that we gave a Player of the Week award last year too. He had over 140 yards rushing and 3 touchdowns.
And that game was at Prentice Christian.
He was at Princess Christian.
All right. What are and I know you've got an interview coming up in just a moment, but tell us some of the other scores from 8-man football tonight.
Calhoun Academy beat Hebron Academy 42-6. Lee Academy beat Kemper Academy 62-20. Marvel beat Northeast Baptist 50-8. River Oak School beat Union 51-12. Briarfield beat Claiborne 58-8. Sharkey's Aquina beat Tallulah 52-20. Riverdale beat Franklin 38-20. Wilkerson County Christian School beat Kennesaw 48-12. DeSoto beat Delta Academy 58-12. Tunica beat Humphreys 42-14. North Sunflower beat West Memphis Christian School 58-26. Newton Academy beat Deer Creek 42-14. Porter's Chapel beat Hillcrest 58-16. Prairie View Academy beat Park Place 40-20. And Christian Collegiate Academy beat Princess 52-8. And Christian Collegiate Academy just clinched the playoffs with their win today.
All right. So of all those games that you mentioned there, any surprises? Any of those that surprised you? The outcome?
Not really. I guess the somewhat surprise was Princess Academy getting handed by Christian Collegiate. I thought it would be a much closer game.
And
Christian numbers.
Yeah, Christian Collegiate is out of where?
They're out of Gulfport.
Okay, all right. That's what I thought. I thought they were coasting. All right, so go ahead, Noah.
They were much like Christian Collegiate won because they were faster than the other team. Like I thought it was a much closer game, but Prentice could not catch up with their speed.
Yeah, and I would think in an 8-man game, speed is of the essence.
It is of the essence.
Yeah. Okay.
And Christian Collegiate's running backs could do anything they wanted on the field.
Well, it sounds like it with that score. Well, your interview tonight, who is that with?
My interview, which is with the head coach of Princess Christian School, Coach Lucky, and the quarterback, Dayton Martin.
Okay. All right, we're going to go ahead, and Chris, if you will roll that interview for us.
Okay.
Here at Princess Academy, where they took it on the chin tonight, 58. You wanted to win tonight, but what was the other team doing to give your team so much fits on the offense?
Right? They were just stronger and faster than us tonight. Hopefully we see them in playoffs and we'll change that.
I'm here with Coach Lucky. I know it was the type of game you wanted, but what do you think about your team's performance?
Well, we knew coming in that this team is very talented. Coach Spinks does a great job with this team. They have tremendous speed and very physical team. We just want to our plan was try to keep the ball away from them on offense. We had some breakdowns, had a few penalties that kind of lost some of our players that didn't get to finish the game. So hats off to Coach Spinks. They do a great job down there. We want our program to get where they're playing, the level of competition that they play, and the commitment that they play. We got a great group of guys. They work hard. We've got some great seniors and great juniors. We're in a building process here. We're proud of what we got here. Didn't turn out the way we wanted tonight, but we'll get to play it again next week, and hopefully we can regroup and get better next week.
What was Christian Collegiate doing on the run game side of the ball that was giving your defense so much fits?
Just speed, just team speed. Their guys, the number 4, number 6, 2, number 1, all of those guys have tremendous speed. They've got really good just natural speed. and that's a factor. It's hard to coach against. When somebody can just outrun you, it's hard to defend that sometimes. So all our guys played well. We missed some tackles that gave up some. We had them pinned down and missed tackles, and just things we got to go back and work on ourselves and get better ourselves.
And what do you hope your team takes away from this game, this loss, to be able to prepare them to be better next week?
I've told our teams going into this ball game tonight that we've got 3 tough ball games. This is our first one going into the end of the season. We play Christian Collegiate, we play Tallulah on the road, and then we go to Bensport at the end of the season. So we've got 3 really physical football teams. We're just going to come back to work Monday, look at what we did. As told our guys, what we did well, we're going to try to improve on. When we didn't do so well, we're going to try to fix it and try to get better. Sun's going to come up in the morning. We're going to regroup and get ready to play next Friday.
I'm here with Cricket Wireless. What is about the community that's so important to Cricket?
Well, Cricket's all about serving its customers and the community. Our motto is we smile more and we help our customers stress less by offering affordable service, premium devices, and a great customer shopping experience when they come into any of our locations across the state of Mississippi.
And what is it about this QR code everybody's talking about, and what does it offer?
Absolutely. So, Noah, great question. I'll say, everyone, when you go to the Friday Night Under the Lights website, take a look at the Cricket QR code. It's going to bring you directly to our Cricket Wireless website, where you're going to see a slew of phenomenal offers that are available for you to take advantage of. We have free devices out here. We got 4 lines of service for $100 a month. That's unlimited talk, unlimited text, and unlimited data for the entire family. So go check us out, and I'm sure you'll find something that catches your eye.
And who wouldn't want unlimited data?
Hey, it's 2023. I think everybody needs an unlimited data plan with their service provider.
Crazy Eights is brought to you by Cricket Wireless. Smile, your own Cricket. Department of Treasury, Unclaimed Money, and Impact Mississippi, along with Malone Roofing. Live from Princess Christian School, I'm Noah Crow.
All right, Noah, thank you for that interview and the ball game tonight. Tell us, have you got plans for next week? Where's your game next week?
Next week we're going to Calhoun Academy as they play Lee Academy from Arkansas.
Okay. All right, we look forward to it. Good job tonight. Thank you so much for being with us, and thank you for your report on 8-man football.
Yes, sir. Looking forward to next week.
All right. Thanks, Noah. All right. Crazy Eights, that's the way we cover 8-man football. And, Danny, thing is, you don't really realize this, but there are quite a few schools that play 8-man football.
I was surprised when I heard all the scores that was that many. And I'll be honest with you, I've never seen an 8-man football game, but I would love to see it.
Yeah. Well, we've had different coaches, and they talk about the strategy and how different it is and how the spacing's different. And, you miss a tackle, it's over. You can't, there's no second level of defense. That's just the way it is. But
did you hear him mention Rebel Academy? I know they were 8-man. I don't know if I heard him mention that, but I know they were playing 8-man.
Right. I don't remember him saying that school, but there are quite a few schools, and there are schools that used to play, like Hillcrest, that used to play 11-man that are now playing 8-man, and I think it just broadens the spectrum there. You got, if you don't have enough kids that are out and can play 11-man competitively, you can play 8-man. Because,
this is maybe a crazy question, but this is MAIS, right? It's not MHSAA.
Right, that's right.
Yeah, I was thinking that 8-man was.
Yeah, and it's not just, it's Mississippi, but they have some schools in their association that are outside Mississippi.
Yes.
Not a lot, but they have a few.
Well, it's several of them in Louisiana. Was there one up in Memphis?
I'm not sure. I know that.
But I know several of those schools are Louisiana.
Yeah,
several of them are.
Yeah.
They're just over the border, so it's
right across the state line. Yes.
All right. Well, we've got a few minutes left. We'll take another break here in just a couple of minutes. Just bring you up to date on some scores of games of interest. Jackson Academy won tonight, beating Madison St. Joe 29-14. Overtime game, one of the better games of the night. Hattiesburg beating George County 34-28. Mentioned McGee beat Crystal Springs 21-20. Mendenhall beat Forest 32-22. Another game that was of interest that we heard one of the coaches talk about was Meridian coming from way down. I don't know, it was Jeff Hager talking about, Harrison Central had not lost, and Meridian goes on the road down a couple of touchdowns late and ends up winning 30-29. That's a big win for
impressive.
Meridian.
Yeah, we hadn't heard much from Meridian lately, but we may this year.
Well, the thing about Meridian always is they always have talent.
They always have talent.
I mean, it may not be 5 or 6, but they got 1 or 2 that probably is going to play somewhere on Saturdays, and so they won a good game tonight. And now 3-3 on the year. Mentioned MRA defeated East Rankin 51-14. West Jones defeated Jackson Prep by the score of 21-6. Pass Christian beat Greene County 28-6. Perry Central over St. Patrick 33-13. Richland beat Lanier 23-20. It was Long Beach. We haven't had a report on this one, but Long Beach edged South Jones 35-34. All right, well, we'll be back in just a few moments, and we'll kind of wrap things up. Week 6. I want to remind you that support from Friday Night Under the Lights comes from Cricket Wireless. Their phones, plans, and coverage information can be found on their website, which is cricketwireless.com. We've got Danny Davis filling in for Russ Robinson. We've had our 8-man report from Noah Crow. There's no telling how we're going to finish up the last 15 minutes of Friday Night Under the Lights. But we'll be back in just a few moments and conclude our show.
Hello, Mississippi. Did you know that the average student graduates college with $30,000 worth of debt? That amount of debt can delay major life milestones, including getting married, buying a home, and starting a family. But don't worry, we've got some good news for you tonight. College Savings Mississippi and Treasurer David McRae can help you reduce or eliminate that debt. Their plans are flexible and affordable. Start saving for as little as $25 today. Visit treasury.ms.gov/college savings to learn more.
People who come to Cricket stay with Cricket, like one of our favorite customers, Michelle.
I started my own app company, and with Cricket, I'm able to answer calls from my engineers and investors and know my signal's going to be great. If I had to describe Cricket in 2 words, they would be reliable and affordable.
5G boss mode activate. Smile, you're on Cricket.
When storms rage, Malone responds. From claim to completion, Malone Roofing has helped rebuild communities for nearly 50 years. Contact Malone for 24/7 service at ecmalone.com.
If the money's yours, you should have it. That's why State Treasurer David McRae has returned a record $80 million in unclaimed money to Mississippians, and there's hundreds of millions more, maybe with your name on it. Check the list. Visit www.treasury.ms.gov and see if you have any of the unclaimed money. Each year, banks, utilities, businesses, brokers, and insurance companies turn over millions of dollars to the state because they're not sure who is entitled to the funds. Treasurer McRae has an entire unclaimed money staff waiting to take your claim and return your money. Check the list today. Treasury.ms.gov.
George, the final segment. Here is Brandon Shields.
All right, this is one of the fastest 2 hours in sports radio.
Sure
but,
is.
We're going to conclude tonight's Friday Night Under the Lights talking with Brandon Shields. And Brandon, where were you tonight?
I was at Jackson Prep, West Jones.
West Jones, from what we've heard, we've had a couple of reports on that game, but It was apparently a pretty much of a defensive effort for both teams.
Both teams played well on defense, especially in the first half. Besides West Jones scoring on the opening drive of the game, it was a defensive ball game. The first half score was 9-6, but the story of this game was obviously West Jones' defense. I mean, 7 sacks. Press had negative 61 yards rushing. 28 of that came on a bad snap on a punt that was kicked out of the back of the end zone for a safety. So that was most of it. So, but with that being said, West Jones defense, they were really, really good tonight, and they are they're by far the best defense I've seen.
Yeah. Well, we've talked a lot about, 7A schools, different classifications, but there are just a lot of good teams we pointed out tonight in 6A, and certainly West Jones is one of them.
Yeah. West Jones has, they've got some good wins. Beat Laurel. We had them ranked preseason in 5A. Beat Laurel week 1. Shut out a really good Poplarville team last week.
Yes.
They're really, really good on defense. They're fast. They're very athletic, obviously. So they're going to be I know Picayune and West Jones, 2 best teams of South and 6A. So.
Yeah, I was going to ask you this, Danny. I was going to ask you about that, Brandon. Do you see West Jones maybe running the table and meeting up with Picayune, or do you think there's a good chance of that?
Yeah, there is. There's a very, very good shot. Picayune's got some injury with Chris Davis out for a while, so it's going to be interesting. With everybody starts district play next week in 7A, 6A, and 5A, so it's going to be kind of interesting to see how, especially West Jones region with only 5 teams in it. They play Terry next week, so Terry, Hattiesburg, they'll be West Jones, Hattiesburg, Terry will be the top 3 teams out of that region. So that's what I'm really interested in seeing how that plays out.
Well, George was asking me about 6A teams on the north, and of course, I saw Clinton play. Warren Central's very good. Grenada is very, very good. South Panola is very good. You're going to have some good teams up there in 6A North, too.
You got Neshoba, who they finally won a game last week. They had a bye week this week. So Neshoba, they've got a ton of injuries. Say in the north, Lake Commerce, they're undefeated. They didn't play tonight. They were off. So, 6A in the north is pretty interesting. Like I said, Grenada's they're a good ball club. Warren Central, and then, of course, South Panola. And, but the 6A in the north, what I'm really interested in, like I said, Lake Commerce, not a lot of people expected them to
That's right.
jump out to a 5-0 start. And, of course, they got Kamarian Franklin playing. They got them playing tight end in red zone situations. Or in certain situations that they put their best athlete at quarterback in Jacoby Hobson. So that's another team to keep an eye on. 6A, 6A in the South, Pascagoula, not a lot of teams are talking about this team, but Pascagoula could get the team.
Oh, yes. Pascagoula is good.
They've always been an athletic team. They got really good players. Got Jeremy Rush, decent tackle. They got some. They've just been being at 6A last year, or the last few years, kind of hurt them, so to speak. And then now they're in the new 6A, and they're kind of back in a more even competition, and it's showing that they're a good football team.
Well, I want to ask you one question, Brandon. I know we don't have a lot of time, but let's move to 7A a little bit. You know, you got Starkville with losses, you got Tupelo with losses, and you got Madison Central with losses. So how do you see Region 2 7A right now?
Well, I mean, Starkville rolling right now. They're obviously, they got to be the clear-cut favorite. Good thing I'm covering Tupelo and Madison Central next Friday.
Yes.
So we get a clear-cut favorite out of that, how that goes.
Absolutely.
Next Thursday, I got Northwest Rankin and Pearl. So
that's another one.
That's going to be two good games. I mean, a lot of games being played Thursday night next week because of fall break. So it's FYI on that one.
Yeah, we've heard a lot about a lot of games are going to be scheduled on Thursday night. Just a comment about that West Point Tupelo game. West Point winning that one tonight, 21-20 over Tupelo. A little bit of a surprise because Tupelo's been so strong, but West Point looks like they're kind of getting themselves back on solid ground.
Yeah, they are finally getting some key guys healthy. Like Kanan Daniels, first two games he was kind of limited because of a concussion he had in the jamboree. So they're turning it around, man.
Well, Brandon,
West Point.
Go ahead.
Sorry, West Point's West Point. I mean, they're going to do what they're going to be. Tupelo jumped on them. What was it, 20-7, and then just West Point just kept hanging around, and before you know it, they cut it 20-14 early in the third quarter, and then, of course, ended up winning the game. So they just found a way to win. They
right.
do what they do.
Brandon, thanks for calling in and giving us the report on West Jones and Prep and your other comments. We look forward to talking to you next Friday night. And some big game. I mean, you're covering Pearl, Northwest Rankin, and then also Tupelo and Madison Central. Those are two big games.
Yeah, Northwest Rankin, Pearl, top 10 matchup. Who'd have thought that?
Absolutely.
Absolutely. All right. Thanks so much, Brandon. We'll talk to you next week.
Thanks, man.
Thanks.
All right. Well, we just got a couple of minutes left, and Danny, thanks so much for being here tonight.
I enjoyed it.
Yeah, I appreciate you as a professional, as always, filling in for Russ.
Well, thanks. Anytime.
Russ got a big chair to fill.
Oh, yeah, that's right. I'm not Russ. I enjoyed being here.
Yeah, and we don't want to leave the show tonight without commenting on this. One of our biggest fans of the program, Isabella, who is a big Warren Central fan from Vicksburg, she drove over here tonight and provided us. We laughed about pecan pie and ice cream, I don't know, first week or two of the season. She brought us a pecan pie tonight, which you've sampled. I have not had a sample.
It's very good. It's very good.
And I know, well,
Chris polished his off.
Chris polished his off, and Ty's had about 4 pieces. But Isabella, we can't thank you enough. You're not on the air, but we can't thank you enough for making the effort to come over here, to find us, to bring us the pecan pie. It is most appreciated. Probably not something we ought to be eating at 12 o'clock. But,
exactly.
You know, hey, we've worked hard tonight, so we're going to enjoy that pie. And thank you so much. I mean, I can't thank you enough for being such a good friend and a good friend to the program. And Russ, I know you're listening, probably on the way back from So-So. Ty has promised to save you a piece. Maybe just one piece, but he's going to send you a piece. Danny, let's talk about the rest of the night. I mean, there's some good games. I mean, there are a lot of open dates, but there's some good games.
Some good games, and it's setting up some very good games for next week, as we heard Brandon talking about. And still, it's, just like we were talking, Region 2 7A is wide open. You know, and 6A is wide open, and 7A, Region 3 and Region 4 7A is wide open. You know, it's just so many. You like Jeff Hager told you, got Gulfport, and you got Ocean Springs down there. And Blake Pennick coached at Ocean Springs, and now he's at Gulfport. And you just got so many, and you got Hattiesburg in 6A, and you've got West Jones, and so many of these good teams.
Right, yeah, and it's kind of interesting to me. There was years in past where like one team or so kind of dominated things.
Yes.
You don't have that really right now. You've got a lot of parity.
You don't have the South Panola with a 70-game winning streak or whatever. Yes, you don't have that anymore.
You don't have that right now.
And even Starkville winning 7A last year, they've got a couple of losses. Tupelo winning 10 games last year. They've got a couple of losses.
Yeah, which doesn't necessarily mean that much because it's starting over.
Starting all over. This whole new season. Everybody's 0-0.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, Danny, thanks for being here
tonight.
Thanks,
George. Enjoyed it.
Yeah, and we you never know. We may be calling on you again in the future.
Anytime.
All right, well, that's going to wrap up our show. We've got to leave. Thanks for Chris Saxton for helping us, for Ty Bailey, Noah Crow, for the Crazy Eight, Danny Davis, and I'm George Broadstreet. Just thanking you so much for joining us for this week. We'll be back next Friday night for another full week of Friday Night Under the Lights. See you.
Hello, Mississippi. Did you know that the average student graduates college with $30,000 worth of debt? That amount of debt can delay major life milestones, including getting married, buying a home, and starting a family. But don't worry, we've got some good news for you tonight. College Savings Mississippi and Treasurer David McRae can help you reduce or